that Saif was captured in 2011 and he spent a long time in prison.
Probably should have led off with saying that Saif Al Islam Gaddaffi was murdered, allegedly, apparently, likely, by the American government. Why? Because the so-called person that killed him was turned over to Americans. He's not an American. The person who killed him was not an American, but he was extradited to the United States. What? So that the feds could prosecute him? Let's listen to a little bit more of the facts and then have a conversation about Saif.
He was later released from prison and he went to exile in a part of Libya where the current administration...
How do you go into exile in Libya? The neoliberals talk to us like we're morons. They talk to us like we're idiots. How are you exiled in the country?
Not in control. As you know that when you look at Libya currently is divided into two parts where you have General Haftar, who is also in charge of a part of Libya. And therefore it looks...
This general that they're discussing was installed, armed by NATO and the United States. Qaddaffi was doing the one thing that the West fears. It was unifying. Every time the West touches Africa, the land splinters. The land breaks apart. They touch Sudan. Now you have South Sudan and North Sudan. Now they want to break that up even more. You have Somalia. Now you have Somaliland. And the RSF is trying to fight for more of the land that has the resources to give it to UAE. These things were not possible when Gaddafi was around. What is happening couldn't have happened, and they are terrified because 1 million people marched. 1 million people over 1 million. You should see the images. I'll post them as I talk. They came out in fear of their government, in fear of the West, and they supported this man. His father was incredibly popular. He was incredibly popular. That was why they couldn't do anything with him. And now that they've decapitated the head of a movement, which is what they do. I'm sorry, let me let some of this information and background come out.
Like he was in that region where government had no control, and he was killed by people who came and shot him. But we know that in 2021, he had registered as a presidential candidate for elections, but he didn't pursue that dream of taking over from his father. We know that he was supposed to be a successor when his father left office, based on what they were saying within the hierarchy and those who were around the late president of Libya, Muammar Qaddaffi. And therefore, that has been the life of the family. He's not the only one who was living in exile. Her sister is still in exile. The mother is still in exile. And the others are also relatives of Gaddafi in exile.
We are fighting the greatest evil the planet has ever seen. We are fighting the greatest evil. The crime of Qaddaffi wasn't Pan Am 103 or whatever it was. The crime of Qaddaffi was Pan Africanism, the one currency. Everything that we're talking on this channel with my tiny little 50,000 subscribers, my couple hundred views a day, it's nothing compared to what the Qaddafis can do. The Qaddafis had North Africans understanding we are Africans, we must come together or they will come and take everything we have. Our brotherhood is our superpower and they're terrified of it.
It was no surprise that he also went to exile after he was released from prison. But I got information that those Gaddafi are in exile, and therefore it was no surprise that he also went to exile after he was released from prison. But I got information that the former spokesperson of Muammar Gaddafi, that is Dr. Musa Ibrahim, is currently speaking to the family and those who are close to him to get more details. Earlier on, I was able to get a voice note from Ibrahim, the former spokesperson of President of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, confirming that he will be talking to the family. Maybe more.
When these people talk to you about democracy, when they talk to you about freedom and democracy and spreading it throughout the world, understand that anyone who says that, even if they mean well, is lying. There is no democracy. You understand me? There is no democracy with the West putting their finger on the scale. You need power to grant your people democracy. What is happening all over Africa with these splintered, weak nations? These nations are smaller than American states, are small states. Maine. How often do you talk about the state of Maine? Maine is bigger than these African countries because splintered, we are weak. Arguing about whether someone is South African or Nigerian makes us weak. Ever since Martin Delaney gave us those words, ever since Marcus Garvey gave us those words, repeated by Nkrumah, right? Think about that. These words I'm about to utter were first spoken by a man who was a slave. He went to Africa, he explored, he was trying to figure it out. And because he was such a superhero, he left that dream. He came back in service of his people. He grabbed the rifle. He went around and he recruited Africans. Let's fight these people. Let's see if it was just them in the South or if it was just a wicked breed that we could come and be a part of this thing. And he came back from Africa and he fought it. And then he saw the aftermath, the Reconstruction era. He only lived to I think 1890 something. He's not my ancestor particular, but I consider him an ancestor. Martin Delaney, I owe you more than that. I should know that the exact date of your death. It's horrible of me. He came back to America to free the rest of us. He fought for the Union Army so that he could shoot the Confederates, and they still treated his black regiments with disrespect. But he understood these words and died uttering them. Africa is for the Africans. Africa, the Africans. It is ours. We're not pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock and with the arrogance and the jingoist mind state to believe that they can go to another land where people exist and just take it. I'm not telling you to be that. I'm telling you to fulfill the wish of your ancestor that laid crying on a dirt floor, waiting for the sun to come up for him to go and pick cotton again, and crying tears every night. I wish I could go home. The words probably wasn't Africa. The words probably was a diverse hundreds of names for these lands before they were chopped up by Belgium and the rest of the European leaders. They said, we're not even gonna fight each other for this land. You take this, you have this industry, you have this industry, and it maintains to this day. Go read what they say about Africa in the Epstein files. I just did another video. Please check it out. If you're seeing this one and you haven't seen that one, go check out my video on what Epstein, the new lessons of Epstein. I think it's titled, Are You Tired Yet? I'm tired. And I feel like a failure to the Martin Delaney's, to the Marcus Garveys, to the Malcolm X's. They all were hunted and destroyed because they were Pan-Africans. It's not terrorism that scares them. I don't care about most of the terrorists are their tools, are their instruments. It doesn't matter about terrorism. Pan-Africanism is why they have these militaries. Pan-Africanism scares the shit out of them. That's why they tell you to irk it. That's why they spend billions to fill your mind with ignorance, right? It's like, just look at the content. Look at how we talk. Look how often our women fight each other, like brutally, beat each other. We are at a precipice. That's why I wrote this book. There was no Epstein files when I wrote this book. There was just 500 years of data that tells us it is time to go. We tried it the neoliberal way. We elected the black president. They called him, they sent a viral video around that the entire world has seen, calling him a monkey. If it's not time to leave, then when is? African people, you have a choice. They killed Saif Al Islam Gaddaffi because of his steadfast beliefs to do his father's work. He was a pious Muslim, more pious than his father. And I don't know how you weigh that, so that's unfair. His devotion, he wore his Islamic devotion on his sleeve, is maybe what I meant to say. He didn't deserve to die. If the United States believes in democracy, there would have been an election back years ago. And the thing about Libya, and that it's been this long since they've had an election, it makes me know that Haiti, who hasn't had an election since 2020, or before that maybe, and since the president of Haiti was assassinated, a neoliberal who's like, hey, I'm one of you guys. I'm gonna try to do something great with this iridium, and you're gonna love it. All the people aren't gonna be poor anymore. And they let him know that's not what your role is here. We didn't install you for that, for helping the people. We installed you to make sure that we can remove all of the resources from Haiti, and we could build new billionaires out of it, or make our friends more billions. And now it's 2026, 5-6 years later, and we still haven't had an election, with no election in sight. And meanwhile, I'm being told that the trucks are coming down from the mountain filled with all different kinds of resources, and they're heading to the port that's not even run or owned by Haitians anymore. Saif was my age, I think. He's a young man that I watched grow old. Seeing his interviews, seeing him in the media. 4 gunmen went there. One was caught, and the one that was caught is now being extradited to the United States. The insanity of this. I can't. I'd play more video of the news clipping, but you could get to the news clippings. Africans. All Africans. Africans in the UK. Africans in France. Africans in Mississippi. Africans in Cuba. Africans in Venezuela. Africans in Brazil. Africans in Africa. It is time to leave. It is time to